The majority of empires that fell was because character became weak. There was a lack of strength in the integrity. There was a lack of strength in the character of the individuals that were leading the empire, and the empire ended up collapsing. And so if you don't want that to be you, you gotta. Today, I want to talk to you about a concept that I know for a fact will give you clarity. I know for a fact it's going to help you come to the realization of, I got to get better. It's going to help you grow and help you improve your business, your team, your organization, whatever it is that you are leading, it's going to help you. And so the concept is called the leadership gap. And it's not one of those things that's incredibly complicated. It's just something that can help us have a high level of simplicity when it comes to what we need to work on and in the direction that we need to go personally as leaders. And so right now, if you were to look at your business, there's your current business, there's your current team, and then there's the business and the team that you want. And the distance between where you are at and where you want to be is what I call the leadership gap. Meaning that if you knew what you needed to know to go from where you are to where you would want to be, you would be there already. So the fact that you're not means that there's a gap in leadership that we need to bridge if we want to grow and if we want to scale. That's what today's conversation is about. Helping you go from where you are at right now in business to where you want to be. It's going to come down to you bridging the gap in leadership. And so that's the conversation that I want to have. So ask yourself this: do I have the leadership capacity to take my organization from where I am to where I want to be? And if the answer to that question is no, you need to ask yourself, how do I develop that leadership capacity? Who do I need to talk to? Who do I need to learn from? What do I need to take on to stretch myself? And so somebody asked me the other day, they said, Matt, how do you grow your leadership capacity? And my response was, you bite off more than you can chew, and then you figure out how to chew it. If you go into your day and you have high levels of organization, that's not a bad thing. You want to be organized. But the fact of the matter is a lot of times when a leader is stretching their capacity, they're going from one appointment to the next, wondering, how in the world am I going to get this day accomplished? Because I have so much jam-packed into my day, I don't even know how I'm going to accomplish it. That is part of you stretching your capacity as a leader. It might be you deploying capital into something that makes you a little bit nervous, and then you do it and you come out on top and you're like, wow, this is incredible. It might be that you take on more of a leadership role. It might be you grow the size of your team. It might be an investment of money. It might be an investment of time. It might be an investment of yourself where you just go all in on something and you don't know if you can accomplish it, but then you show yourself that you can. That right there is increasing your leadership capacity. All of a sudden, you think you can only lead 3 to 5 people, and you grow your team from 5 to 10, and now you have 10 people showing up, and you figure out how to lead 10. What does that do? It increases your leadership capacity. All of a sudden, you take your organization from 10 people to 15 people. You didn't know how you were going to manage so many people, but then you figure out how to do it. And the level of confidence that comes with that increase in leadership capacity leads to you believing that you can take on more and more and more. So you have to ask yourself, do I have the current capacity to take my business from where I am at to where I want to be? And if the answer to that question is no, we got to start working hard towards increasing our leadership capacity. Another thing that I want you to think about is, do you have the experience? Do you have the experience to take your business from where you are at to where you want to be? And if the answer to that question is no, maybe you need to hire somebody with the experience to shore up your weaknesses. Maybe you need to build relationships with people who have the experience, or maybe you need to start realizing or paying attention to the things that you go through with a little bit higher levels of intentionality. What do I mean by this? There are a lot of things that you've probably experienced in your leadership journey that if you think back on and pay attention to, you are actually very wise in certain areas that you might not even know that you have wisdom in, simply because you were not paying attention. And so one of the things that I try to do as often as I possibly can is just sit back and look at things and say, okay, this popped up. How did I deal with it? Could I have handled it better? If I could have handled it better, what does better look like? Did I handle it perfectly? Fantastic. It's very rarely that I handle anything perfectly, but did I handle it perfectly? Fantastic. Okay. Could I have handled it better? No. Did I handle it exactly the way that it needed to be handled? Yes. Okay. So you start just asking yourself questions based off the experience that you just encountered. And by you just thinking back on the experience, it makes you better going into the next one. Let me give you an example. I throw events for my business all the time. And one of the things that I try to do after every event that I throw is we do a recap. What went really good? What could have gone better? And then what we do is just through recapping, we're able to say, okay, next time we throw an event, we're going to build this in because it went really well. And then what we're going to do is we're going to solve for what went wrong so that doesn't happen again. And so through this, we've grown from event to event to event. Well, it's the same thing in leadership. When you're able to grow from experience to experience to experience, and you look back and just say, okay, what went right? What could have gone better? This leads to an increase in leadership capacity. It leads to an increase of wisdom in your experience, and it helps you once again bridge the leadership gap. The next thing I want you to ask yourself is, do I have the knowledge? Do I have the knowledge? And if the answer to that question is no, it's what am I studying to get the knowledge? What books am I reading? What audios am I listening to? What do I need to invest into? Do I have the right mentors that have the knowledge? And am I seeking out that knowledge from them often enough? Do I need the knowledge? If not, what knowledge do I need in order to get to where I want to be? And then let me go after finding that knowledge as fast as I possibly can. Because once again, if you knew what you needed to know to be where you'd want to be, you'd be there already. There's something that you are missing. And so you got to aggressively go after that knowledge. The next thing that you got to ask yourself is, do I have the systems and the strategy and the processes in place? Because you might be doing incredibly well right now, which is awesome. But the systems that you're running right now might not work at scale. And one of the things that I've learned just through mentors is you never want to implement a system that cannot handle a higher volume, because eventually you're going to get to a higher volume. And if that higher volume breaks the system, now you have to teach everybody a brand new system. And on average, it takes about 24 months for a company to adopt a new system, which is never good. You never want to wait 24 years to adopt a system, which means we can't constantly be changing systems. So you got to look at your business and say, okay, do I have the right strategy? Are the systems in place? Are my processes in place? Are they effective? Can they handle a higher scale? Can they handle more volume? And if the answer to that question is yes, you're going to start to scale quickly. See, you want to build a business that is not reliant on people, but a business that is reliant on systems. And if you can build a business that is reliant on systems, now you can take any type of person and grow the company versus a business that is people driven, that requires a certain personality type. That's going to be a business that reaches caps in development because it's not system driven, it's people driven. And that's a business that is difficult to scale. Next question you got to ask yourself is, do I have the character that I need? Why is that so important? Character is foundation. And if you're going to build something great, it's going to require a strong foundation. So the weaker your character is, the weaker your foundation. The weaker your foundation, the more likely your organization is to collapse. I see people oftentimes, they build teams and they lose it. They build businesses and they lose it. They build empires and it collapses. Why? A lack of character. If you look at history and you looked at, empires that fell, the majority of empires that fell was because character became weak. There was a lack of strength in the integrity. There was a lack of strength in the character of the individuals that were leading the empire, and the empire ended up collapsing. And so if you don't want that to be you, you got to ask yourself, do I have the character that I need? Is my integrity what it needs to be? Am I morally and foundationally sound? And if that's a no, then we need to grow in order to handle a larger size business. The next question we have to ask ourselves is, do we have the mentors in place? Are we constantly bouncing ideas off of people who've already done it before? Are we constantly in conversation with people who are more successful? Are we constantly surrounding ourselves with people who have done and built what we are trying to do and build? Because they are the shortcut. The shortest distance between where you are and where you want to be is mentorship, and it will always be mentorship. But you can also be mentored in the wrong way and or the wrong direction if you have the wrong mentors in place. And so for me, I always pay attention to, do they have exactly what I want? Have they built exactly what I'm trying to build? And if not, I will learn from them, but I will be aware of what I allow to influence me in my decision making. Because if they don't have exactly what I want, the information that they might be giving me might be distracting me, not serving me and helping me. So you want to learn from everybody, but you want to be aware of what you allow to influence you, because the wrong influence can lead to your business collapsing, and the right influence, the right mentorship can lead to you accomplishing the growth of your business a heck of a lot faster. The last question that we have to ask ourselves is, do we have the people skills that's required in order to grow? In order to build a big organization, it's going to require a lot of people. A lot of people means that there's a lot of people problems, and that also means that there's a lot of personalities. And so if you don't have the people skills to deal with people problems, and if you don't have the people skills to deal with a bunch of different personalities, then you're going to end up blowing a lot of people out and are losing a lot of quality people. And so your ability to elevate your people skills to not only get along with more people, but be able to retain, challenge, and scale to even larger amounts of people. That's going to make a massive difference in your ability to grow. Because obviously, if you had the right amount of people to accomplish your goal, you would have your goal already. So if you looked at your business, one of the reasons that you are not where you want to be is because you don't have enough people or you don't have the right people. And so in order to have enough people and or find the right people, your ability to elevate in your people skills is what's going to lead to you getting there a lot faster. So ask yourself, am I as good with people as I think I am? And am I good with people in the right market that's going to help us get there? See, a lot of us will think I'm good with people, but you're only good with people who think the way you think. You're only good with people who operate the way that you operate. And anyone that's not exactly like you, you don't get along with. That's not people skills in any way. That just means that you are good with people who are exactly like you. People skills means that you're able to interact and work with and elevate with people who do not think like you, who don't have your personality, who don't operate in the same way. It's your ability to interact with all kinds of people, not just one type of person, that determines the quality of your people skills. And so once again, guys, I call this concept the leadership gap. There's where you're at and there's where you want to be. And the gap between where you are at and where you want to be is called the leadership gap. And it's your ability to develop as a leader, and it's your ability to develop in the areas that we talked about today that will determine whether or not you bridge that gap and or how fast you bridge that gap. And so guys, I hope today's message helped. I hope it made a difference. And if it did, do me a favor, tell somebody. We put out all this content with one goal, and it's simply to make a difference. But I can't make a difference alone. And so if you ever come across somebody that you think would truly benefit from our channel, share it with them, tell them to subscribe. The more people that we have subscribed, the bigger difference that we make. And at the end of the day, that's what we're looking to accomplish. So thank you guys. I will see you guys next week on the Leaders Only podcast.
Let's get it. 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 Let's get it.